Hi, I'm Sakita Lewis with Lewis Taylor Productions. I'm a co-founder, writer, director, and producer. And I'm super excited to be here with the Brand Storytelling Group with the team behind Banyana Ba Style. Welcome. Welcome. Here, the film is absolutely amazing. And so I would love if you all could introduce yourselves and what your part in making the film was.
Awesome. Cool. I'll go first. Yeah, so great to be here and chatting with you. I am Caroline. I am the director and co-producer of Banyana Ba Style. And yeah, I'm a filmmaker based in South Africa, mostly on documentary filmmaking, and yeah, super passionate about women's rights, telling stories that are impactful and women-led, and yeah, especially, if they can be mostly South African. I'm super patriotic and I love my country, and there's so many inspiring people here and who, yeah, the world needs to know their stories. So it's been awesome being on this project.
Hi, my name is Andile Dlamini, goalkeeper of Mamelodi Sundowns and Banyana, which is the South African national team. I am also featured in the documentary. I tell my story the way I wanted to tell it, and I am just grateful that I get to share the story with the rest of the world and not just South Africa, that I get to inspire also young girls and boys. So I'm extremely grateful for this conversation. I'm truly honored and happy to be here.
That is awesome. Well, I will get us kicked off with a few questions, and feel free as I ask questions, if it makes you think of something else you want to share, don't hesitate. This is a conversation and we want to know everything there is to know about this film. But I'll start with Caroline. How did you get introduced to this project? And what was the brief? Like, what was the team looking for?
Yeah, so Mamelodi Sundowns were a client of ours, and we had made a series, a YouTube series with them called Sundown Stories. And they were about, they were short films between like 10 and 20 minutes. So they had been a client of ours for a year already. And we had made kind of character-led stories about the club. So we had made one on Teko Modise, who's a very well-known footballer in South Africa. Um, and on like a super fan who had been, yeah, attending Sundowns games for many, many years. So yeah, we'd had this working relationship with Sundowns already of making character-led short documentaries that weren't, a commercial to be like, look at Sundowns, this is a great brand. It was, yeah, human-led stories. And then the ladies team qualified for the first CAF Women's Championship tournament in Cairo. And yeah, the chairman of the club, Hlopi Motsepe, was like, you guys have done great work on the Sundown Stories. The ladies have gotten into this tournament. Could you just send a small team and follow them, film them, and maybe we can just, make a short documentary on the tournament and how it went. And yeah, it all happened quite quickly. And it was kind of happened within a week, and the tournament was starting. So there was a bit of a scramble. And then, yeah, myself and a cinematographer and an assistant, we went with the team to Cairo. And yeah, we were there trying to find our feet with very little pre-production. But we're just like, okay, we're gonna be run and gun, get what we can. And whilst I was there, we were staying in the same hotel as the team and having meals with them. And I really like got to know the team during that time, and yeah, set up times in between their training and their physios and games to have one-on-one sit-down interviews. And it was in that process where I was just like, oh my goodness, there is so much more to these women, to this team, than them just qualifying for the first CAF Women's Championship League. You know, it's an amazing story to tell, and it's kind of that chronological pull through from a narrative perspective. But then, yeah, their lives and what they've done to get to where they are. I was like, this is, I mean, it was, you know, they were actually quite emotional interviews most of the time, because yeah, I guess it really was just super inspiring. So that was kind of like, the tournament was also the research almost for what the film ended up being. So the team did super well. They won the tournament, spoiler alert, if no one's watched it yet, which was incredible. And they were crowned, you know, the first women's club championships in Africa. And we came back, and yeah, we kind of went back to Sundowns and we're like, listen, we could make you a documentary just on the tournament, but it could be so much more too. And so then, yeah, kind of created a treatment, and, you know, from we could speak to, then we, you know, got in contact with journalists and old players who are retired. And yeah, it kind of just, it grew into what it is now. So it was never the initial intention, what it ended up being. But yeah, so that's a kind of long answer to your question.
No, that's perfect. I mean, that's the beauty of filmmaking. You follow the story, and it's a beautiful and very inspiring story. And I would love to know, what did it feel like being like this, the big focus and a big part of the subject of the story?
How did it feel like? Wow. Firstly, when we were interviewed, it was more like everybody's gonna tell their story. And when I saw the documentary, I actually was a bit emotional, because never did I think that something like this could happen, where your story is being told, especially worldwide. And you get, like I said, to inspire a whole lot of people. And sharing your story is something that a lot of people actually don't feel comfortable doing, but I felt so comfortable, because I know that me sharing this story will actually motivate somebody who was once, once contracted COVID, and after that they, had heart infusion or had different, struggles. I had heart infusion, and for me, I thought to myself, why not share the story? Because I wasn't as okay, I was healthy, but I wasn't as strong as I thought I could be. But it was all mentally. I survived because of my mentality, and I survived because of my surroundings and just my teammates and my coaches, and obviously Caroline. As much as she was there to film, she played a huge role of also giving us the space to talk about our problems, and just that on its own, I cried a lot. I cried a lot in there, because I felt like that was the space I needed. I'm becoming emotional. I felt like that was the space I needed at that time. I had just come back in the game, and for me to achieve all the things that I've achieved, while I felt so insecure, it's just amazing. It just goes beyond thinking that you are capable of greater things, as long as you put your mind to it, and as long as you speak things into life and you're faithful. And just seeing myself on Netflix, I was so happy. I was so happy. I even told Caroline, oh my goodness, I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere, and I get to tell my story the way I want to tell it. And she never spiced anything up. You know, I said everything I wanted to say, and she just connected everything just beautifully. And my mom was super excited and super happy to see herself, and just the progress right now when you look at the documentary when it started, and you're like, oh my goodness, is this what I've achieved already? Oh my God, it is possible, because there's a part in the documentary where I speak about the dream house and just it being there in the swimming pool. Although I said the swimming pool will be on the outside, but the swimming pool is inside the house now. But I spoke things into life, and I think the power of saying positive things into your life, you attract positive things. And I would love to actually inspire the whole world with that you need to speak positive things into your life so that they attract you, so that they follow you. Because I see what's happening in my life right now. Yes, there are dark times, but I will never stay there for long, because I am a believer in, and I believe in God, and I believe that He leads and I follow. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that the people in this world need to be positive. I could be Nelson Mandela right now and speak the whole day. I speak a lot. I know Cairo edited my clips because I spoke a lot.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It was super emotional to see you come back from COVID in the film and see how excited your team was. And like your mom said, you are a superstar. You're everywhere now, right? Like you are a superstar. But I love that message of positivity. And one of my questions was going to be, did you finish the greenhouse? But it sounds like that you did.
Yeah, it's still in the process of because wow, it's humongous. The house is just big. For me, I think it's very big. And my mom wants this and she wants that. You know, it's her dream house. It's not mine. It's hers. So I need to make sure that I do it for her, because when I had COVID, if you saw in the documentary, it was just the shack and the windy house. And when I had COVID, I was living in the windy house and they were living in the shack. And it's just my brother, my stepdad, my mom, my two brothers, my stepdad, my mom, and my sister. So it's 5 of them inside one shack, which is something else. But we had so much love. But somehow you think, oh, this is too much. You actually need a house. You need to get out of the sickness so that you can go and hustle hard, so that you can go, because I knew that football will somehow, change things for me. And it did for me. And I see how my life is just drastically changing, and the support that I'm getting from the chairman as well at Mamelodi Sundowns is just incredible. The Motsepe family is just incredible for me. And I think we need to be appreciated at home first. I call Mamelodi Sundowns my home because I played for Mamelodi Sundowns since I was 14 years old. So you need to be appreciated at home first before the outside world. And they are doing just that. And I've played for Mamelodi Sundowns for more than 500 games, or I'm sure I need to go and research right now. I'm sure I'm almost 1,000 right now, in which I need to celebrate that as well. But yeah, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful.
That's awesome. Caroline, question for you. I see that a big part of the film was the multi-generational piece of it, where you focused on the young girl and you focused on the current athletes. Can you talk a little bit about the choice to do that and what that means for the story?
Yeah, well, I think, it's a good question. So I think a main reason for making this documentary, when you have so many decisions to make, even choosing our characters from the team, who's gonna represent the team, who's gonna do this, who's gonna be our retired player, who are gonna be our journalists. The main thing was like, we need to tell the women's football story in South Africa so that you can know where it's come from, and that there's still a sense of hope for the future, which I think Andile speaks really well to. We didn't want this sense of hopelessness. And I really wanted to show that, look, there is hope. So the youth academy and someone like Katleho, the young girl, she's doing so well now. I mean, it's been, since we last filmed her, it's like a year and a half, and she is like getting player of the tournament, and she's just becoming an incredible footballer. And so I think it was, you know, if hopefully young kids did watch this, they could see themselves. So yes, you have role models are so important, but also to like be able to relate and be like, okay, you know, she's doing it, she's working hard. So yeah, I think it was really to try and show that there is change, because I think, you know, I wanted to show the evolution of women's football in South Africa. That was like quite an important thing, because, you know, I haven't seen any films, documentaries in South Africa who've done that, who've spoken to women's football, and, you know, almost, yeah, solidified it and spoken to it, from people who were part of it. And I mean, you could make an entire documentary just on the history of women's football in South Africa. There are so many incredible players, who I would love to interview, you know, who are now, no longer playing, but involved in various ways. But yeah.
That's awesome. So, Ndile, I mean, speaking of that, so Portia Mordise, um, it feels like you're almost kind of taking the baton and moving that cause forward for the pay gap between male and female soccer players or athletes in general across many sports. Can you just share, how does that feel to take that baton, and kind of where is it today? How do you see that moving forward?
I think it's just one a positive route right now, if we look at it. And the more you tell it, the more it changes. And I don't think that we need to stop. We need to continue talking about it so that it just closes. And I see it working beautifully, and especially in my team, where we are given so much support. It's not where we want it to be right now, but everything has its own steps. So you can't just go from one step over to the next step. You need baby steps. So it's getting there, but I still feel that not only Mamelodi Sundowns should be worried about making their girls get a living wage. And I think everybody that has a professional team in South Africa needs to actually be inspired by what we do, so that we create opportunities for many young girls. I feel like sometimes it's a bit unfair that it's us only that, us and TS Galaxy, not knowing their situation, because they are also a professional team. But I feel like it's a bit unfair, because I feel that our national team then doesn't have rather girls that only focus on football, but it's girls that actually have to go and hustle outside football to come back to play football, which takes so much time for them. And imagine if they were to invest in just playing football and getting paid for it. Imagine the quality that we will have as a country, rather than teams, but as a country, we would then be able to be on the same slate as the USA, whom are an incredible country because of how they treat their women, and how they've just closed up the pay gap, which is possible as well. Actually, when I think about it, it's possible to just move from one step to another. But it needs unity. It means our government and everybody else, our sponsors, and just teams coming together and saying, we want to improve women's football in South Africa, and how do we do it? So everyone is on the common ground, where our league is also professionalized, because right now it's not professionalized. We need a professional league. So we have professional contracts, but our league is not professionalized. Do you see where Mamelodi Sundowns is at right now? They are 10 steps ahead. They are thinking future. They're not thinking, oh, how do we survive? They're thinking we are going to survive, and we are going to be the greatest team in the world if we take care of our ladies. Because once you take care of your women, they will never disappoint. You'll always be happy, And I think our chairman has done an incredible job. We need to give him credit for taking good care of us. We wouldn't be speaking right now if he wasn't, involved in making sure that Cairo travels to Egypt and interview each and every player and coaches and support staff. So I think we need to give him credit because he has done an incredible job. A young chairman that sees women's football as the greatest. He takes good care of us. I'm extremely excited at Mamelodi Sundowns. When I started, I felt like, okay, women's football is not going to change. But immediately, I saw how involved he was. I told myself, sometimes we dream of going to play overseas, but actually the dream is at home. And how do we then make sure that the league is professionalized is if we soccer players treat ourselves professionally, and we also talk about the issues that happen in women's football so that they can be resolved, because if you keep quiet, then they don't get resolved. I prefer people hating me for the truth than for lies. So I believe that we are not far ahead. If I were to give ourselves a percentage out of 100, I would say we are 55, rather. So we've jumped half a little bit. We are 55. We are still getting there. And the day we get to 100, that's when I see Banyana winning the World Cup. That's where I see African teams playing in Club World Cup, because right now we dream of playing in the Club World Cup because we're doing great in Africa. So we need another challenge where we walk out of Africa and we compete with the world so that we see where we are at. You will be surprised that we get there and we win because of our hearts, because of our hard work. And that's how you attract sponsors. The more you do good, you attract sponsors, you attract people. They come to you because they want to work with the winning brand. They want to work with a promising brand. No one wants to work with somebody who is all over the place and doesn't know where they're going. So I believe that we are getting there. And the day we get there, that's when we're going to challenge the world. Actually, we're going to challenge the world regardless. But that's where we're going to be consistent. That's where we're going to be consistent and stay at the top, with the best in the world.
Yeah, I think also just I think Mamelodi Sundowns, and especially the chairman, because he kind of, he really spearheaded making this film happen, were very brave to do it because, as Andile was saying, women's football in South Africa is not close to where the men's is in terms of equal pay, rights, professionalizing the sport. And Sundowns, don't pay their women the same amount as the men, but they were brave enough to stand up and be like, we know this, but there's a systemic issue here, and we're going to expose ourselves, but still, to say they're not on your high horse and being like, oh, look how amazing we are, we do so well. There was exposure and a chance for people to say, well, look at your men driving sports cars and your female players have to take taxis. But yeah, I'm super, super grateful that there was a lot of braveness from Sundowns. And yeah, I mean, it was also an interesting process because I was always like, we need to expose, we need to like fight for women's rights. And then there was some pushback, like, okay, well, where's this line? How do we still ensure that people have a positive feeling of Mamelodi Sundowns when they finish this film? So from a brand perspective, it was super interesting, like how do we tell the true story and be true to people's life stories, but then still make sure that the sentiment to Sundowns is positive. And the thing is, it actually, when we really got into it, it wasn't difficult because they care so much about the youth in South Africa, hence the Youth Academy for football, and like creating it for women, creating the space so that from a young age, young girls are being trained in a very professional environment. And yeah, I think like Andile was saying, there are big clubs in South Africa, Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, who are very successful football clubs, but they don't have women's teams. So I think that was, making this documentary for Sundowns was also to be like, come on, we want to improve women's football in this country. Can other clubs come join? Like, Andile was saying, let's unify and increase the level so that we can be competing with the world. So I think, yeah, it wasn't just a documentary that would make the brand look good. It was, yeah, the brand trying to change the system in which they exist, which, like, I mean, that's amazing. And then, by being brave enough to do that, then it makes it worthy of going onto Netflix, because it's not just dealing with a brand story, it's dealing with a systemic issue. And then into like that was a big aim for Sundowns, is to get to grow the global knowledge of the brand and get people interested, which I think, making this documentary and funding it and it getting onto Netflix kind of did exactly that.
That's awesome. I think to your point, it's very much so future thinking for a brand to think this way, for the chairman, like you said, to be so brave to say, we're going to do these shorts and learn about the people who are a part of this football club. And we're going to now go in a much bigger way to make this documentary. Like you said, it's authentic. And I think that's what resonates so well with the film, because like you said, you're exposing an issue, but you're also telling a really triumphant and inspiring story. So if all of the brands that are listening out there sponsor these women's teams, specifically sponsor this team and this amazing group, because this type of work is going to increase viewership of your games. It's going to increase the awareness of your team. And let's also hope that it increases the sponsorship of your teams so that, we can help to close that pay gap. So that's amazing. That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the games. So I was on the edge of my seat throughout. I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? So edge of my seat throughout. What was the process of capturing the footage in the games? And then also I'd love to know kind of the stakes just kept rising and rising, and I would love to just get your perspective on what that experience was like, getting finally to that last game where you guys just shut it down at the end. You just, this is our game, this is our cup. So I'd love to just hear a little bit about that from both of you.
Sure, I can start with the footage. So yeah, I think because it was super last minute, we were kind of like, it's fine, you'll be able to film on the sideline. Don't worry, it'll be okay. We get there, and people at the stadium and CAF were like, no, 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 these are rights. And so yeah, it was then like, okay, what are we gonna do? And then they were like, we will ensure that you get the footage from our broadcaster here at SuperSport. And I think because Patrice Motsepe, he started or he didn't start, he bought Mamelodi Sundowns, and he is now the president of CAF. And so he is part of the family. And so I think, the getting the rights, Sundowns got the rights for us to use that footage in the documentary. And so, yeah, I think, I can talk a lot more on, there was a lot of source footage used, and I learned so much in what it means, and how every second counts. It like costs a lot of money. But yeah, in terms of getting the footage for the matches, there was a deal between Sundowns and CAF that was made that allowed us to have, yeah, the usage rights for that footage.
So with the games actually like playing, we thought to ourselves, this is the first CAF Champions League. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. We thought okay, at first it's gonna be easy for us. We had a bad team. And when we got there, we were actually humbled because we got a lot of teams that we're ready to win, the championship and our coach actually, if you could hear in the documentary, was motivating us and telling us, we need to go and work hard to get what's ours, because we want it so bad that we want to change how women's football is treated in our country. We want to inspire again that little young girl to say it is possible for you to get to CAF Champions League level. Not only do you think we are playing in South Africa only, but you can go outside South Africa and represent SADC, in the African continent. So the games kept on carrying on. We won our first game, second game. Then I think we drew our third game because we both needed points then, but we wanted to win that game. Unfortunately, we drew because Esfa didn't want to also concede a goal. We went to the semifinals. When we went to the semifinals, that's when I thought my heart was gonna go out. I thought, yeah, I thought my heart was gonna go out and just find another home. I've been through so much, and I'm like, oh, this is another moment that I need to face. As thin as I was, and I thought to myself I was a bit unfit at that time, my coach saw me as fit and actually matured to handle the games. I told myself, okay, I need to make my teammates clap here so I can scare them off, because my power steps are not that good at this moment because of the situation I'm coming from. So I needed to act things out. As much as I wanted to go for the balls, I was going different directions. But I told myself I need to scare my opponents off. And how do I then scare them? See that I laugh, I look at them and I just smile, and then I clap my hands, just scare them off, because it's a big moment, it's a big moment. So there's a new rule that is happening right now. You can't actually scare your opponents off. I think they saw that from the goalkeepers, because goalkeepers tend to do that. We tend to act like clowns so that people can just miss the ball. So at that moment, that worked for me, because I think I scared my opponent and she just kicked the ball high up. We qualified for the finals. And when we qualified for the finals, our coach said to us, go and enjoy the game. He didn't want to put pressure on us. He said, go and enjoy the game. And we can't come this far only to stop this far. So we need to make sure that we win this tournament. But you can only win this tournament if you play as a team, you play for each other, and you enjoy. And we told ourselves we are going to enjoy. We played, and I was like, this is the last game. I cannot concede in the last game when we haven't conceded from game one. So I must make sure, because if you don't concede, then you have high possibilities of winning a game, high chances of winning the game. So we played our last game, and it was just incredible. There was a fantastic save there that brought me back to life. It actually changed how I felt about myself in that last moment, because I celebrated after that. I could feel myself coming back after that. As much as I played other games, they didn't actually, touch me like the final. The final actually touched me, and it also gave me assurance of you are who you are, and don't doubt yourself. You are still Andile Dlamini, and you can still improve, yes, of course, but you are still the great Andile Dlamini. Go out there and work hard. Never, ever, ever allow anybody to tell you you are weak, because if you allow people to tell you are weak, you are weak. So don't allow anybody to tell you that you are weak. From then onwards, I won goalkeeper of the tournament with obviously Mamelodi Sundowns because of not conceding a goal, and went to play with the national team. We won CAF Champions League, the African Women Cup of Nations with the national team. I won goalkeeper of the tournament. You see, assurance. He's giving me assurance that you are great, you are wonderful. There's a reason why I took you out for that long. There's a reason why you were sick. I needed your attention, and I needed to rejuvenate you. I needed to give you more spices in life. I always tell people that, sometimes I feel like I'm living on borrowed time. Why am I saying I'm living on borrowed time? It's because I'm given a second chance to live. So I need to do things right. It means, and doing things right, it's not doing things perfectly. Doing things right is living by his word. Obviously, tithing, which is the biggest thing for me. I tithe a lot. And right now, I know this conversation is a conversation, obviously, about the documentary, but it also is a documentary that a conversation that I want whoever that's listening to get inspired. I'm not the richest kid in the world. I'm trying so hard, but the little that I have, I share because I know how it's like not to have something. And I've decided that every year I give back. So I save up. I'm getting emotional. So I save up, let me say I make $100. In that $100, I'll save up $10, $10, $10, $10 all the time, up until the end of the year. And at the end of the year, then my spirit will actually tell me what I need to do. So last year I gave 4 families groceries for December for their Christmas, so that actually they can enjoy their Christmas. And this year I decided to help a girl in Swaziland to pay up her fees. She owes fees from 2018, so she needs her matric certificate. So I'm helping her out so that she can get her matric certificate. It's been how many years? 2018 is 2023 right now. So she actually needs to get her matric so that she can get a job or actually further her studies. And I'm helping out my late coach's son with paying fees for him from now on till his matric, because he's in grade 8, so that's like your high school level. I have to buy him school uniform, everything else. I have to take care of him because his father also changed my life, converted me into a goalkeeper, and made sure that I was happy doing what I do, and right now I'm grateful that I also have an incredible coach who's coaching us, Jerry Shabalala, who's a father, who is also somebody that I look up to, and I see how he works hard. He doesn't sleep. He always checks out games. He always wants to improve his coaching skills and also wants to improve us, which is incredible. So that's what I do right now. And I'm just hoping that, I know I cannot be Nelson Mandela, whom is my role model, but I try and strive to go closer to what he was. And hopefully my foundation will be big and could support a lot of girls and boys in the country. And hoping that sponsors will just want to come and support my foundation so that we change a lot of girls and boys' lives.
I'm glad you mentioned Jerry. I was going to ask how he was doing. I loved hearing him sing. The best. That's great footage. That was great. Question to you guys is just like, overall, what impact do you hope this film has, or have you seen it already start to have on some of the issues that you're bringing forward and on the club itself?
So I think one thing, I've heard so many messages on, I am actually more active on my Instagram. So it's Instagram where people tell me how inspiring the documentary was for them, and how they never thought I went through what I went through. And they also see the bigger picture in us actually speaking about women's football, which is we need to be professionalized. Some of them were educated through the documentary. They actually didn't know much about Mamelodi Sundowns ladies. Now they do. and they know what happens behind the scenes, because a lot of people get to judge people. We live in a very cruel world that judges the end product rather than, where did it start? Well, how is it happening? Why did this happen? And a lot of them are inspired a lot, and I see a lot of improvement in my team, where girls and boys are doing photo shoots together. Yes, we've been doing that, but it's more, it's more now. It's everybody being everywhere. It's not just Andile Dlamini doing this. It's everyone being appreciated for their hard work, which is incredible. And I believe, we have Hollywood Bets. I think after CAF Champions League, then we had Hollywood Bets. We have Hollywood Bets. It's a league. It's a national league, rather, not a professional league, but a national league, trying, also to close that gap, giving us more money than we used to get. We have also the Sasso League developing young ones, and also doing wonders in just putting in the money as well. We just hope to get a professional league under its own umbrella, where women are just professional and everybody has their own contracts, and everyone gets to change their families' lives. And I think Cairo will come back and just document that, for South African women's football, where a lot of stories are told, and they will tell us, this documentary changed our lives. By just watching it, I saw that it was a necessity for me to get money and just change my family's life, or for me to change my life like Nontantla Mthandi has. She's an incredible young woman who has been through so much, lost her mom, and which is so sad. But she's so strong, and she's one person that I put under my wing, because as much as she's so strong, she's also a bit sensitive as well. I'm grateful that I get to share that moment with her. It's a very beautiful moment for her. She gets to inspire the people in Kagiso. She gets to inspire young girls who don't have parents, to say it's possible. Even though you don't have parents, your community can raise you. So we go to, again, Coach Jerry, who sings a lot. He still is a singer. Every training session makes noise and sings a lot. He's an R&B singer. We just need to help him, with his vocals. But he's an incredible man. I think I would speak the whole day, but
Yeah, I guess my input, I feel like Andile has spoken quite well to the football world, and hopefully it'll continue to have an impact. And, we're seeing change, and it's hard to say if the documentaries contributed to that, or if it was on that trajectory already and we've just, maybe pushed the needle a little bit further. But yeah, I guess I hope that brands could watch it and then be like, okay, this is a way that we could represent ourselves, tell stories that are important, because I think it seems to be quite, more common overseas. I think this kind of brand marketing, or the way brand communicates, is still very much in its infancy in South Africa. It's very much traditional commercials. But I really hope that brands could be inspired by this, to be like, oh, how could we do this in a similar way? Because I think it can kill multiple birds with one stone, like really, tick a lot of boxes that brands would want to tick. But then most importantly, from my perspective, it's having a positive impact on society. So yeah, hopefully that will
besides
happen.
that, yeah, I think also the World Cup, sorry, Carol, I think also the World Cup has just showed us how incredible, or how you can just close up the gap and treat everybody equally. Everyone got the same amount for the stages that they went through. So if you are in the last 16, this is a certain amount you get, and every player gets that amount, and that's it. and which was incredible for us because it also changed our lives. We got like 1 point something million, but after tax, it's not that. It's less than that because we got taxed in Australia and we got taxed in South Africa. So I think also that on its own, it just shows how women's football is growing in the world. And I would love to see also the World Cup being on the same level as the men's World Cup. But how can that be is if our fans also engage. Our fans need to come to the stadiums and fill the stadiums the way the men are being supported when we play games, when they play games. We also need that in our stadiums. The more the people are in the stadiums, the more people want to put their brandings. So I think also we need workshops where such things happen, where fans just come in and are told of how important it is for them to come to a game because this is what happens and this could improve women's football like this and like that. So it's very important that we appreciate also our fans, yes, of course, for coming. The little fans that we get, it's enough, but we need more. We appreciate them taking time out of their busy schedule to come and watch us, but it's also important for them to just invite each and everybody so that our stadiums are filled and so that we can have more brandings, on the side, because the more brandings, the more we change our lives, the more money comes to players as well, except the clubs, also players benefit from it because then they have something at the end of the day. So I think we need more workshops to educate our fans more than anything.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. It has been an incredible interview. It's a beautiful movie. Congratulations on winning the cup. Congratulations on the incredible directorial debut for your feature.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Sakita. This is really awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we've won it for the second time.
Yay. Yeah. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.